She broke no laws. But there she was, Olivia Grant, pulled over on a quiet, dark street, wearing an elegant evening gown. A black woman stopped just for looking suspicious. One cop leaned in, flashlight shoved right in her face, and sneered, "Whose trophy wife are you?" Yeah, that happened. They thought she was powerless. But her husband, Jericho Grant, was a senior agent at the Department of Justice. This was no ordinary stop. They didn't know who they were messing with. The gala's fading music still lingered as Olivia stepped into the night. Her heels clicked softly on the curb, every movement careful, precise. Sliding into her sleek black sedan, she smoothed the edge of her gown, started the engine, and slipped into the sleeping city. Midnight was a glassy silence, clear still. Olivia's hands gripped the wheel gently but firmly, nails polished, every detail deliberate as she drove through quiet neighborhoods. Then blue lights flashed in her rearview mirror, a cold, sharp cut through the calm. No sirens yet, just that unmistakable sign she was being pulled over. Olivia didn't flinch, didn't blink. She slowed, signaling and pulling to the curb like the rules still mattered. The patrol car stopped behind her. Then the lights on high beam blinded her, piercing the cabin like a spotlight. That light wasn't just bright, it was a message. We don't knock, we blind. She kept her hands on the wheel tin and two shoulders relaxed but proud. No reaching for her purse, no rolling down the window. She waited, not out of fear, but out of protocol, the silent, unspoken ritual every black professional knows but rarely talks about. Two officers stepped out, emerging from the glare like shadows. One adjusted his belt slowly, predatory. The other approached, flashlight swinging lazily. The first tapped twice on her window. Olivia lowered it halfway. Their faces were inches apart, breaths mingling, before the flashlight was raised, blinding her. "Is this your vehicle?" the officer asked. No sirens blared, no urgency, just that cold question. Olivia didn't answer, didn't move her hands, just blinked once, steady. The officer smirked, half amused, half suspicious, then motioned to his partner. The second officer came around to the passenger side. Same tone, same angle. "No reason to be nervous, ma'am. Just routine." Olivia said nothing. "Mind opening the trunk?" the first asked. "No probable causa. No citation. No explanation." Slowly, Olivia reached over, popped the trunk, then put her hands back on the wheel. Neither officer moved to check it. Instead, one whispered, not to her, but sideways into the thick night, "Make sure you get the footage right." This wasn't law enforcement. It was a show, a rehearsal. They weren't fishing for evidence. They were feeding a habit. The first officer leaned in again, flashlight close enough to feel heat on her cheek, scanning her silently for threat or defiance. But there was nothing, just stillness, steady hands on leather, a face lit too brightly by suspicion but unyielding. The silence thickened, not tense like a gunfight, but heavy, the weight of unspoken understanding neither side would admit. Olivia had been here before. So had they. But this time she didn't flinch, didn't beg, didn't explain, because she had broken no law. They offered no reason. And yet, here she was trapped by the performance of power, not force. The second officer wandered slowly to the rear of the car, taking time, not inspecting. The first lingered, holding the flashlight like a weapon. Olivia's fingers flexed slightly around the wheel, the only sign she was alive. He noticed and smirked. "No need to get tense. We're just making sure everything's in order." Still, she gave nothing. No raised voice. No tears. No panic. Only the unbearable clarity of a woman who knew the rules better than the men trying to break them. Finally, the flashlight lowered. The officers stepped back, their patrol car easing back into traffic. The lights died. The street remained quiet. But something had shifted. Not in Olivia's calm face, but in the silence left behind. A silence that waits, that remembers, that writes things down. She didn't move. Hands still on the wheel, engine humming. Her breath slow and steady. Eyes sharp, wide, staring into the rearview mirror. Not for safety, but for record. They'd looked at her and seen a symbol. She looked back and saw a system. No words needed. The injustice had spoken loud and stupid, confident as a flashlight shoved in a woman's face. Her skin still carried the heat of it. Then came the slow return of tires. Not both officers, just one. A knuckle tapped the glasses softer, less official tap. Olivia lowered the window 2 inches. The face was the same square jaw, cheap aftershave, thin line where sunglasses had rested. The flashlight was off now, but his stare still burned. "What do you do, ma'am?" No respect, just suspicion and sarcasm. "Financial consultant," she replied, calm and clear. He laughed quiet, personal. "Financial consultant out here dressed like that? Tonight's a unicorn event, huh?" His smirk wasn't just at her. It was at the idea of her professional, elegant, breathing the same air as his rules. His partner reappeared, shifting his belt with boredom. "We should check that," he said, gesturing to her handbag. "No warrant. No request. Just expectation." "No," Olivia said flatly. The first officer reached in as if rights were suggestions. She beat him, flipping open her purse. Wallet, ID, credit cards, corporate badge neat, visible. Before he could read, his hand knocked it aside dismissively. "We don't need to see that," he muttered. The message was clear. This wasn't about verification. It was about submission. The second officer clicked his tongue. His flashlight slid slowly up her leg, hesitating too long at the neckline. His grin was slower, now dirtier. "Don't tell me this is somebody's wife." "Boss's wife, maybe." Not a question. A performance between men, never expecting correction. Olivia said nothing. Her hand returned to the wheel, fingers tightening. Not trembling. Taut like a cord pulled tight. Her eyes burned not with fury, but with silent heat that melts steel. The first officer leaned close enough to count broken capillaries in his cheek. "You know," he said, "we stop people for a lot less." The implication hung like rotten meat in warm air. She blinked once. The silence wasn't awkward. It was tactical. It was hers. He stepped back, uneasy. Something about her stillness didn't fit their assumptions. She wasn't fidgeting. She wasn't pleading. She wasn't scared. Fear was part of their script. They knew how to handle fear. What they couldn't handle was precision composure. A woman whose silence pressed like a gun to their egos. The second officer cleared his throat, glancing down the street as if someone might be watching. No one was. "You can go," the first finally said. Olivia didn't move. Not right away. She waited, just long enough for them to feel they had been seen. Not passed unnoticed, untouched, or unchallenged. Her hand moved to the gear shift. The engine purred. She pulled away. Not fast. Not looking back. Rear view showed no pursuit. Just 2 shrinking figures under a streetlight. Suddenly, they looked lost. Like actors unsure of the part they played. They hadn't won. Hadn't finished. Just been cataloged. Filed. Labeled. And when the time came, they'd remember that look. Quiet. Calm. Carved deep. Heavier than any scream. Olivia didn't rush. As the patrol car disappeared, she reached across the console with surgeon's precision. Her left hand never left the wheel. Her phone glowed cold blue on the dash. She tapped twice. "No scroll. No hesitation." She lifted the phone. Voice barely above a breath. "I'm being stopped. Same spot. Lights again. No names. No panique. No please." She set the phone down, screen facing up. Call still active. That was the point. She didn't look at the officers. Didn't need to. She knew they were watching. Like wolves watching prey pick up a stone. Suspicion crackled again. One officer stepped forward. Offense, not authority. His tone clipped. He no longer hid disdain. Calling a lawyer? Or maybe daddy? Olivia turned slowly. Eyes locked his. Held with certainty. No challenge. No words. He scoffed. Or what? Calling the guy who paid for that ride. His eyes scanned the console, hunting logos. Nothing. Then she spoke. Calm. Sharp. "I called the one who's going to end your shift early." Not threat. Not prediction. Arrival. Irreversible. The second officer hesitated. Brows twitching. Game shifting. Confidence gone. "Ma'am, the first try to hold control. We're still within our rights." Don't make this bigger. Olivia didn't blink. The call stayed live. That was enough. Every breath, every silence, fed into another line. Documentation owned, embodied. The second officer moved closer. This doesn't have to go bad. Cooperate, and we're out of your hair in 2 minutes. She tilted her head, like a lion deciding. Hand on gear shift. No words. Okay, so what? The first officer stepped forward. Defensive now. You think this scares us? A phone call. She smiled just slightly. Not humor. Confirmation. Leaned in. Whispered into the air. They're trying. The officers blinked. Her eyes returned to the man who'd asked about her father. Gaze dissecting. Ever wonder why no one teaches you what to do when you stop someone smarter than you? Ice cracking a windshield. Slow. Devastating. Impossible to ignore. The second officer bristled. We're not here to debate. Good, she said. Because I don't debate habits. Silence pressed. Authority shrank. No retreat. Confidence fading. No longer in control. Call stayed on. Silence and reckoning held the night. Then, from the shadowed corner of the street, a black SUV glided silently. No engine growl. No flashing lights. Just presence. The door opened. A man stepped out. No slam. No look around. Just being. One step. Another. Shoes landing with permanence. Tailored suit. Sharp lines. Gloved hands. No bite. No insignia. But authority older than uniform. The first officer stiffened. Hand brushed holster out of habit. Sir, stay back. Active traffic stop. No response. He walked calm. Stopped 10 feet from Olivia. Pulled a leather case from jacket. Opened it like a statement. Inside, a badge gleamed. Truth. The second officer stepped back, voice cracking. Who are you? Before answer, Olivia opened her door. Stepped out, fluid. Gown flowing. Walked to man's side. He's my husband. He spoke then. Velvet and iron voice. Jericho Grant. Not here to negotiate. Silence wasn't absence. It was the breath before impact. Not drama. Surgical. Officers didn't draw weapons. Didn't retreat. But shifted. Like buildings settling. Jericho took space. Without asking. Without threat. Even shadows leaned in. His eyes fixed. Unreadable. Not a man to shout. But to command silence. An officer cleared throat. Reason for interference? Jericho glanced heavy. Is there a reason you think this is official? No reply. Street felt like chessboard. For moves from collapse. Olivia stood tall. Silent alliance. No whispering needed. Symmetry built long ago. They were a storm wearing human skin. The officers outclassed. Outweighed. Jericho brought consequences. Routine no match. One step made authority thin. Silence settled. Officers' stance wavered. No longer in control. Jericho's voice calm. You didn't ask for ID. No reason stated. No time logged. No body cam notes. No written record. No dashboard timestamp. This was theater. Self-appointed roles. Olivia raised a small recorder. Press play. Voices echoed vulgar, unsanctioned. Enough, she asked. No reply. One officer glanced sideways, panic flickering. His partner leaned in, whispering. Is he an agent? Jericho stared. No. I rewrote this protocol after people like you twisted it, so law no longer recognized itself. No words. No moves. Guilt shifted bones. Faces gray. No yell. No chaos. Just unbearable truth. No place to stand. Script shattered. The system called out. Olivia and Jericho turned a routine stop into a reckoning. No shout needed. No weapon drawn. Just the power of presence. Of truth spoken with law's precision. And silence made louder than any siren. What's a zooting? Ang ming tiu vu? Do police get away with this where you live? Share your thoughts below. Is it routine or abuse? Justice or habit? Your voice matters.